This is the Boomtank Business Show. I am Carolyn Cole, your show host and founder of Boomtank.com. Boomtank is where business success and happiness meet. For nearly 2 decades, I was a Fortune 100 and Fortune 200 senior company trial attorney. Now I make the case on behalf of your business dreams and happiness too. If you're looking for more business, personal, or professional success and happiness, this is your show. I can help you create all of that. You deserve to have it all, and you can. Let's go. Welcome to episode 84 of the Boomtank Business Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I announced in the past episodes I am repurposing the audio from my Winning in Business live streams here on this podcast. Now bear with me on the interview sound. It's not the usual studio quality because I'm taking the sound for this episode from the live stream of the show. And live streams do not always have the great quality sound. They just don't. My show guest for this one was on business travel, and she was using wireless internet, so we fade in and out sometimes, but it's still a terrific interview. If you are a product inventor or know a product inventor who needs help taking their invention to market, this is the interview for you. My featured guest is Donteacia Seymore, on track for millions in revenue, helping inventors take their inventions to market. Specifically, Donteacia helps inventors build, fund, and launch their products. She has been featured in Entrepreneur Magazine, Business Insider, The Business Journal, The Guardian, Huffington Post. Pretty incredible, right? Hear her talk about her own invention valued at $2.1 million when she licensed it to an international cycling company. You will hear about all of that. You will also hear specifics about getting new products to market. We talk the full product invention cycle, how inventors win in business, and of course, success and happiness too. It's another great interview. Now, let's bring Donteacia on the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Winning in Business Live. So excited to have you watching today. If you're watching live, thank you for joining live. And if you're watching the replay, thank you very much for tuning in to the replay. As always, I'm recommending you do these things on your business page, even though it can be a ghost town, because if you don't start there, you're going to be limited to 5,000 or less Facebook friends for your future business life career, and that's not a wise thing. You want to go big. Don't you agree, Donteacia?
Go big or don't go.
Go big or don't go. I love this. And so, before I continue, Donteacia is contemplating building a $1 billion tech business. $1 billion. So
with a B.
with a B. Yeah. That's why you need to be listening here today. And thank you so much for joining in. Lori G, hello. Thank you for showing. Some of this would be live. I can't always see who's on, but Lori G, thank you very much for coming on. This is fantastic. Today's guest is the amazing Donteacia Seymore, on track for millions in revenue, helping inventors take their inventions to market. Again, she's on track for starting, developing, and completing that $1 billion initiative for your business, which is absolutely amazing. Specifically, Donteacia helps inventors build, fund, and launch their products. She has been featured in Entrepreneur Magazine, outstanding, Business Insider, The Business Journal, both of them huge, The Guardian, Huffington Post, Product Hunt, and more. Hear her today talk about her own invention, valued at $2.1 million when she licensed it to an international cycling company. We'll talk the full product invention cycle today, how inventors win in business, what it takes to win in business, success and happiness too. That's it. Welcome to the show.
You just made me sound so amazing. I was like, geez, man, wow, I'm awesome. Thanks, Carolyn.
Like to add to that, because that in and of itself is amazingly impressive, and I know you're doing other things that people don't know about. People think it's just what you advertise. It's never what you advertise. There's a whole iceberg under there, right? It's just the tip of the iceberg. So what else would you like to add to that introduction?
To add to it, I mean, I kind of want to just stick there, because the other things that we are working on that's below the water, we're not ready to announce it yet, but we do have a lot of major initiatives and some huge partnerships that we're waiting for the ink to dry a little. So we have some stuff coming up. But no, if you're following the Facebook page, if you join the Facebook group, which is Build, Fund, and Launch Your Awesome Invention, which is on Facebook, if you join that group, you guys they're the first to hear everything. My Facebook group, I have a group of 1,000 inventors in there, and we have a really good time talking about product development. So join that group, and all announcements go through the group first.
Yes, and I will have links to everything that you mentioned in the show over in the show notes at boomtank.com for this episode. So be sure to jump over there for all links. Let's start with your backstory.
Yeah, so I never, ever, ever, like I used to love putting things together. Like everyone loves to sit around and put together like a desk or a patio set because it's kind of calming. On the weekends, you have a glass of wine and you put together a bookshelf or something. So it was never in my mind that this is what I was going to do for a living, that I was going to be putting together products. Originally, I wanted to be in politics. Like that was my pathway to success, was through politics. And it was how I was going to help and serve the community. So I went to college and got a bachelor's degree in political science, a master's in public administration, and then another master's in conflict analysis and resolution, because a lot of the issues that we have in our, political system is because we're not able to resolve conflict, right? We don't know how to analyze it, see it coming, and resolve it. And so my background and focus was 1,000% on being in politics for the rest of my life. It was going to be local, state, maybe national, but that was the plan. And then, I was huge into fitness at one point, and I was running, and I had this idea. And we'll talk about the products, but what happened was the reason I got off the politics train is because the products actually started to show some success. And I said, well, if we hit this metric by this day, I'm going to go ahead and drop out the race. And we hit it. We hit it early.
Tell them what race you were running for at the time that you came up with a winning idea for an invention.
Sure. That's the drillers. But I was running for city council. So I was running for city council in Jacksonville, Florida. And I said, if this Kickstarter campaign funds, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop out of the race, because I'm going to focus 100% on this product because people have given me money to do this thing. And so that's where I wanted to focus my energy, and it funded like 4 days early. So I went ahead and I withdrew from the race.
Let's stop here and look at success as you saw it back then, and happiness. Yeah. You were running for the race. It was a lifetime dream to date. Why did you say stop? It's now going in this direction. What made you do that?
Right. So the reason I decided to go ahead and to focus 100% on the product is because you can always run for office, right? It's like office, you can run for office at any age. It doesn't matter where you are, you can always run for office, but you don't always have an idea for like $1 million company or $1 million product. And I knew that this product was going to be the thing that changed my life, right? And it's also easier to run for office when you have like your own financial standing and your financial ground. And you also have really rich friends. When you start to make money, you start to meet people who have money and who you can kind of talk to a lot easier and who are willing to invest in like your dreams and your run for office. So for me, it was like, hey, I can always run for office. I can run for office in 10 years. I don't know if I'll have another idea that comes to me that can completely change my life. And so I'm going to go out on this thing and I'm going to step out on this ledge because I know that this thing is the thing that's going to truly, truly change my life and allow me to impact others. And then I'll come back and run for office later. Like that was really my rationale. I was like, hey, I can make $1 million this way, or I can be a millionaire, or I can impact a ton of people. And then I can come back and run for office still at a later date. Like it didn't end the train for me. And so that's why I decided to go for it.
And let's talk about the later date. We talked pre-chat. You still have a very strong interest in running for political office.
Yeah.
Governor of Florida in the short term.
Yeah. So here's what's funny about that. And we were talking about this in the pre-chat. I never wanted to run for city council. I always wanted to I actually wanted to have mayor as my first run and then governor. Maybe state legislator and then governor. But I never wanted to run for city council. A man told me to run for city council. A man said that you should do city council first because you need to work your way up to running for mayor. And so it's almost like a blessing that the idea did come when it did, because it didn't force me to run for an office that I didn't genuinely want to take for me personally, right? And so what it's done for me is allowed for me to focus on this product. And when I do go back and run for office, I don't have to start at the bottom. It's like, I don't have to start there.
Why do you feel you don't have to stair step your way in business or in politics? What is it about success now that gives you a different perspective versus the perspective you had back when you accepted that advice and ran for that office?
Yeah. So, it's interesting. What's so interesting about that is when it comes to success, and, we were talking about this in the pre-chat, right? Like we build these stories and these narratives of things that have happened in our life that tells us like what we can and what we can't do, what we will and won't be good at. And so what this has done is allowed me to kind of step out from that and say, hey, I can do and be whatever I want. I can do and be whatever I want. I can go as high as I want. I don't have to start at the bottom. I can start wherever I'm comfortable, because the only thing that's going to stop me from starting where I'm comfortable is what I believe. So if I believe I have to start at the bottom, then I can only start at the bottom. But if I believe I can start at the top and aim for the top, then I can start at the top, right? It's all about our belief system. And a lot of that comes from the stories that not even we've told ourselves, that others have told us, things that we've internalized, limitations that others have put on us. And we see it as reality and fact when it's not. It's not reality and fact. It's a story that we've gone ahead and we've said, okay, this is going to be my story. I'm going to live with this. And this is what I'm going to operate from this place the entire time. And that's why a lot of the decisions that we make in life is based on not even something that's real. You know, it's not even based on evidence. It's based on this thing that we've been told, this narrative that we've created that said that we can't have this thing.
Lori says, yes, very true. And we are creatures by adoption until we reject that. And we're not even adopting the limiting beliefs that somebody really believes about us. We're adopting their limited view of the world and their limited success. And to have your own, you've really got to go create your own new ideas and your own new success, your own new path, because no one can give that to you. You're now in the race, but you come up with this great idea that ultimately is licensed, is valued at $2.1 million. Ultimately, you license it to an international bicycling company.
Right.
When did lightning strike and how did that happen?
So, I was actually lucky. The company that ended up licensing the patent is someone who actually invested in a Kickstarter campaign. It was a really weird situation. It was someone who went ahead, they saw me on Kickstarter when we were running the campaign, and they were one of the ones who pledged for a glove for the Kickstarter campaign. And cyclists was never my target market. Like I didn't build a product for cyclists. It was for runners because the idea came when I was running. And I was like, oh, well, we can do this also if we work out and we're in the gym. So it was actually never for cyclists. And it just so happens that a cyclist was like, hey, I want to use your glove to ride around Europe. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, tell me how it goes. He didn't tell me about his company. He didn't tell me the organization he was with. He's like, I just want to use it. And I said, okay, fine, do it. Let me know how it goes and keep me posted. And it was maybe a year later. He had ordered like 4 or 5 gloves. And so it was a year later, he hit me up and he said, hey, I see that you kind of slowed down a little bit on things because we had this huge, massive order. And I was like, I don't know where I'm going to get the funds to, because you have to pay for a lot of that stuff up front when you get these large orders. I was like, I don't know where I'm going to get the funds to pay for this order because we really want to get this in the subscription box. And he said, well, we'd like to license it from you. He's like, we'd like to go ahead and take over that and license this from you and go ahead and do it for you. Because the order we had was for 60,000 units. And I was like, that's a lot of units. And so he's like, we'll go ahead and we'll take over that and we'll license this patent from you so that not only will we be able to do that for you, but we'll be able to use it specifically and exclusive for our company. You hear the noise. I don't want to ignore it. I don't know if you hear the noise.
I'm glad you said something. So Donteacia, everybody knows she's on business travel right now. So she's based out in the world, subject to all the sounds of the space, whatever those sounds are.
It's been so quiet too. It's been quiet the entire time. And I'm at a place where they're like redoing the H&M next door. And I'm like, it's been quiet the entire morning. And now that I'm doing something on live is when they want to drill into the walls.
Well, we can't hear that loudly. It's okay. We can hear you. Let's tee this up. You are on a bridge. I think if I have this right, correct me because I might have something wrong. But you're on a bridge. You want to take the call. And just with your hand movement at that time, you realize, wait a minute, if I do something wrong, my phone could wind up over the bridge into the water, into the river. And with that, you came up with an idea in that moment. There needs to be something more than an armband holding phones because nobody really likes the armbands. And you developed a specialty glove. And if you go to Donteacia's website, you'll see her original sketches for the glove. It's really fascinating. And what she has is a specialty glove, an athletic glove. They actually do look like biking gloves and weightlifting gloves. They do. And then here was where the phone would be so that you could run with it. Do whatever you wanted sports-wise with it, ride a bike, and still talk and not lose your phone. It would hold it snug in place. So that was your invention, correct? Did I get all that right?
Yeah, so I was running the bridge, and actually my daughter called. And so my daughter was home, and she called, and I was trying to get to my armband because I was using the armband. And I tried to get to the armband. I'm like, oh, I got to get to this armband. And she's calling. Maybe something wrong. And for whatever reason, my headset wasn't working. Usually you can just hit a button on your headset, and it'll like answer the call. But it wasn't working. So I was like, I got to get to the phone to turn the phone on. So I pulled the armband because the only way you can get to your phone when it's in an armband is to take it off, which is it's the whole purpose, right? It defeats the purpose. So you can't get to it. So I pull it off. And as I'm pulling it off, because I'm still mid-stride, I almost sling it over the bridge. So because I'm in motion and I'm trying to get to the phone and I pull off the armband, I almost sling it over the bridge and I catch it right before it goes over. And I'm like, oh crap. I was like, this is not, this is just not going to work. Like, I need something to where I can just hold my phone. Because I was holding my phone. I was like, I'm going to hold my phone tightly as I'm running across this bridge because I don't want to lose it. And while I was running across it with it in my hand, I said, man, I wish there was a way for this thing to kind of stay in my hand. So the original idea was for it to actually be in the palm of your hand, which is why it's called mobile grip, because I was gripping it. And then I was like, well, if I want to work out, I can't have it in the palm of my hands because I have to lift the weights. And so it literally was just like, well, I'll put it on the back. So that way I can still have access to my phone to track my workouts, to answer or ignore calls, and to lift weights. So I didn't even think about cycling. Cycling didn't even come to mind. But it was out of that necessity that I was like, I'll create this thing. So I looked to see if it was out there. It was not out there. Shockingly, it was not anywhere out there. And originally, I was just making it for me. I was like, I want this thing. And I told a few of my friends about it and they were like, we want one too. And I was like, okay, well, let me see if this can work. And so I had a prototype made and I told a group of girls that I was in this fitness group. It was like 150 of us. And I was like, hey guys, I made this glove for myself. And they were all like, we want one. And it's like, you should make this a real product. And so because of that group and because of them saying we need one too, because we were all using apps to track our runs and our workouts, I was like, okay, let's try this thing. So I'm going to do a Kickstarter campaign and see how many people want one. We were able to raise $15,000 in 3 days. And so I was like, all right, we're off to the races.
How did that feel? Because now you're still in the race, right? Mm-hmm. You're still running. And this Kickstarter. And for those who don't know, Kickstarter is an online forum where you can pitch your idea and people contribute to your idea and help you fund to get it off the ground. Mm-hmm. So that is what you did. What did that feel like going from an idea to prototype to $15,000 in 3 days on Kickstarter? What was that like?
So, there's different steps, right? So it was actually, I think the first amazing feeling you have is the prototype. It's not even the $15,000. The first amazing feeling you have is getting the thing in the mail that was an idea. And you're like, wait, this was something that I drew on a napkin at a bar when I was telling my friends about it. And now it's this thing that's in my hand that's like this amazing thing. So if you feel like this, it's like this out-of-body experience, honestly, when you first get the product, because this was something that was in your head and you're like, oh, wow, this is awesome. This is great. And then you go through like the stage of fear when you're about to introduce it to others, because you're like, oh, wait, what if no one else thinks it's great? And then you start to say, oh, this looks stupid. People are going to not like it, and that's the voice in your head, the little voice in your head telling you that this is not a good idea. And so you go through a roller coaster of emotions. It's like happiness, it's joy, and then it's fear. And then when people actually validate it with their dollars, it's a whole other level of like joy. You're like, oh crap, this thing is a big deal. Like this is a huge deal and it could be an amazingly huge deal. And so it's kind of surreal. It's kind of surreal, but yeah. So I hope I was able to articulate that well.
No, you did. And I would imagine it would be. And at the time that you licensed it, your valuation was $2.1 million just at that stage.
So, and the reason it was that amount at that stage is because of a subscription box license or subscription box deal that was in place. So there was someone who wanted between 60 and 90,000 units of the product to put into their national subscription box company. And so what that did was that shot the valuation up overnight. And we went from maybe like a $150,000 valuation to a $2 million valuation in a matter of a month because of that deal. And so it's the difference between like one email. One email can take your business from a 6-figure business to a 7-figure business with one email. And that's kind of what happened with us.
Incredible. And there was a lot of hard work behind it too. It wasn't just
Absolutely.
Like split. It just kind of happened and, oh, well, here I am. You spent countless hours making this happen and drilling into it. I mean, it was a lot of hard work to get it there and you made it fly.
16-hour days for a year before we got that email. But
easily, right?
Yeah.
Easily. Remember that. You remember it was 16 hours a day for a year before you got the email. And Lori G says amazing. And it really is. It is amazing. Talk about, please, if you would, how that led to the work you're doing now and what the work is now.
Yeah. So after that happened, I actually packed up my stuff and left the country.
Why?
Well, so I wanted to travel. I wanted to travel with my daughter for a long time, and I now had this freedom to travel because I no longer had to sing, right? I was no longer running for office. I was no longer working for the government. And it was like, okay, so what do we do now? We do the thing we want to do. And for me, that was see the world with my daughter. At the time, she was in 8th grade. She was 13. And I was like, let's go. We'll homeschool you for the year. And some friends were all doing it. And so we decided we travel the world with my friends and my daughter. And after you create something or after you do something successfully well, people start to ask you how you did that thing well. And it just started naturally. I would get inboxes, emails like, hey, I heard about your idea. Hey, I have this idea. Hey, I have this product. And it turned into like conversations. And it was just conversations at first over coffee because I wasn't looking to make it a business. But it was so continuous and so constant. And I was like, okay, maybe I should consult on this thing. And so it was like one client here and there, and they just never stop. They still don't stop coming. Every day I get a message, an inbox, an email for someone who has an idea for a product. They found me through someone's told them about me, and they want help building their product. And it kind of just turned into this business. And what I realized while we were doing the consulting business is that our process was inefficient without technology. And I was like, there's a way to make this even more efficient than just having a consulting business. And that's to bring technology into the mix and create a platform where everyone can communicate on that platform. The designers, engineers, prototypers, manufacturers, inventors, the team, where we can all kind of communicate and build this product in tandem on this platform. And so that's kind of where we are now with it. Like we have this consulting arm, and then we also have the platform arm where our clients are building their products using the platform as a catalyst.
Okay, an inventor comes to you, step one. Let's say somebody watching this comes to you and they have an idea. Can you quickly share the different levels of development to market? What are the different categories they need to pay attention to? What's coming down the pike for them?
Sure. So the first thing you should do is you should do a patent search. I tell everyone this, even though your product may never be patented or your product may not be patentable, you should do a patent search because you don't want to spend all this time and energy and money and someone else owns the rights to this product. You just don't want to do it. And for integrity's sake, right? You want to make sure you're not stealing someone else's IP. And so the first thing you should do is do a patent search. After you do that, you have to get this thing out of your head and get it into a design form. So that's when you kind of talk to engineers and you say, hey, I have this idea. How do I make this work? Because while you may have the idea, you don't have the knowledge on how to make it work, right? And so they come to me, we do a patent search, and then we get an engineer on it. And we say, okay, let's make this thing work. And so they make it work. They design it. They figure out what materials that you need, how to close latches and open hatches and all kinds of, engineering stuff. If it has an electric component, it's like, well, how do we make this work electrically? So we get an engineer on it. And then after we have the engineer on the process, we get someone to prototype it. We find a prototyper. We have a database of prototypers, and we have someone do the first prototype. And then the second and the third. And by the time we get to the fourth, we're like, okay, this thing is ready for mass production now. And we find a manufacturer. But you launch it. You launch it. So between prototype and mass production, you want to do a test run.
I've heard nightmare stories about manufacturers, both in the U.S. and outside the U.S. I've also heard of I've also heard really male dominated. You have to be able to step up to that. Is any of that true?
Yeah, it's all true. It's all true. Manufacturing is undoubtedly the hardest part of the entire process, which is why it's so important to prototype. A lot of people don't prototype before they go straight to a manufacturer. For one, it's going to cost you a lot more money to have your item prototypes at a manufacturer. And if you don't get that prototype right and test that prototype out and you go to them with this thing like, hey, give me a mold. If that mold is wrong, or if you have it molded and that product doesn't work, that's $4,000-$5,000 down the drain because they have to do another mold, right? And so a lot of people skip that prototyping phase and they're like, I have a design from an engineer, and they go straight from engineer design to manufacturer because a manufacturer will print you out your product. It'll be significantly more. And if they do a mold, they're going to say, okay, they're just going to do what you tell them to do because they're going to want the money. And if it's not right, then you have to do it over and over and over and over again. And then some manufacturers, the timelines are off. Some of them they'll take the business not knowing exactly what it is your product should be doing. So there's a lot of work that inventors have to do to protect themselves from that. And then manufacturers shut down all the time. a lot of companies, they shut down.
That's great to know. With your business as you have it, your consulting arm and your basically technological do-it arm, do you have engineers in your database as well as the prototypers, as well as the testers, as well as the manufacturers? Do you offer all of those services in your work?
All of them. We have them all together. And that's the unique thing about what we do, is that we do have them all in one place. And not only that, is we take the onus off of the inventor to figure out who they should work with. And we say, hey, here are the 3 best people that you should work with that's in our database. Based on what you're doing, because we do have an engineer look at all of their work. Based on what you're doing and what you need, here are 3 people in our database that fit your budget, that are good, are the best ones for your idea. You can reach out to each of them and figure out which one you want to work with, and then choose one. Because a lot of times, people are paralyzed by choice. You go to some of these sites like Upwork and ThomasNet and Alibaba, and there's like a million companies. There's a million designers and engineers, and you're like, who do I choose? Like, how do I figure this out? So we take away a lot of that anxiety, and we figure it out for you, basically.
This is my unfair question of the interview.
Okay.
How long does it take to go from idea, if the prototype works out, if the test group works out, if the manufacturer works out, to market?
So it is completely dependent and reliant on the inventor. I went from idea to prototype in 2 months, to Kickstarter campaign in a month later. To market, I was making money inside of 6 months.
Fantastic. Are you using Kickstarter now for your clients as a means of gathering funding?
So it's an option. It's an option for a lot of them. So the way that I've learned a ton since I launched my product 4 years ago. I've learned a ton. So Kickstarter is for those who really have, really require a large upfront investment, but they have a prototype, and the molding is just going to be like $10,000, $20,000, and they can't do it without it. And so I suggest Kickstarter. A lot of my clients, I suggest they skip crowdfunding and go straight to viral videos. Like, how do you just make money? Like, how do you do pre-orders and sales, and like, what does marketing look like from a viral video stance? How do you put Facebook ads behind it or Google AdWords behind it? So we figure out the best way for them, like based on their products and based on their needs. And so I have something called the 5 launch languages. And so we figure out which one is their launch language. And then we build a strategy around the launch language of that product, because some products will work really well on Kickstarter and others will bomb. And some will work really great as viral videos and others will bomb. And then some will be really good as a home shopping network introduction. And then others, you just don't have time to do a home shopping network introduction for that type of product, because it requires you to be outside and this, that, and the other. So we try to figure out what the best launch language is for that client and then build a strategy around it.
You do the marketing too. Fascinating.
Mm-hmm. So we actually do. So we don't do it. So we don't do the marketing. For all of my clients who come through our program, we actually give them educational work on the side. So while we're building the product, they also learn about the industry. And then we have contractors who we contract out. Now, I talk about the 5 launch languages, and they can ask me strategy questions on the call. But when it comes to developing their independent strategy, we have someone we work with, and that person works with them on the marketing. Because I don't do Facebook ads, but we do decide whether or not that's the route they should go. And then they work with our contracted person, and they help them actually launch and market and everything.
So the marketing is the same as your engineer, your prototyper, those kinds of, it's a database of the resources they go to. So you give them the marketing help through a contractor.
Exactly.
Fantastic. All right. So right now, where is your business going? Do you do U.S. as well as global? And then where is your business going next?
Right now, we're focusing on the U.S. And
okay.
The reason we're focusing on the U.S. because patent laws are, just easier in the U.S. for us. And so right now we're focusing on the U.S., but we have more than enough clients in the U.S. who are looking to build their products. And right now the platform is a private beta. So you have to be a client to use the platform. In 2019, maybe December of this year, January of 2019, we're going to open that platform up to the public, to where you'll be able just to go to the product yard, submit your idea. An engineer will say, this is feasible. Yes or no, this is not feasible for these reasons. And then we can kind of move through the process after that determination has been made. And so the goal ideally is for anyone who has an idea for a product, consumer product, can come to the product yard and from start to finish work on their product inside the platform and have it delivered to their front door.
As far as Home Shopping Network QVC, where do you find most of your products finding their market ultimately?
So far, it's been just through, Facebook ads and viral videos and posting and going to trade shows. But the reason I just moved back to the country 6 weeks ago, and I moved to Tampa. And the reason I moved to Tampa is because the Home Shopping Network is headquartered in Tampa. And I did that on purpose. And that was because I wanted to build the necessary relationships to create this pipeline for my clients. Because HSN will know that every single product that comes out of the product yard is a quality product and that we can deliver on production. And so it was important for me to build that pipeline. So for my clients who do have HSN ready products, I can pitch them directly to HSN and immediately catapult them to success inside of 6 months.
$1 million dream. You go. That's fantastic.
Yep.
Let's talk about success and happiness now. One of the things that attracted me to you was the fact that you are building so big. You're such a great role model, and you're helping men and women across the country with these inventions. You're in the production of it. You're in the marketing of it. I know your company is, and you hire people out, but you're essentially in the mix of all of it.
Yep.
What success look and feel like to you now?
Oh, man, that's such a deep question. It's such a deep question. And the reason it's such a deep question is because I've personally had like a transformation in the last few days to where I felt a lot of pressure for success on Friday. And on Monday, like a lot of that pressure is gone. So for me, success is just really like whatever the goal is I set for my life and how I help people in terms of, bringing their products to life, how that impacts the world. Like, that's what success looks like to me. Like, every time someone calls me and they're crying, and they're always crying, they've never not been crying. And they call me and they cry and they was like, I just got my product in the mail. Like, this is so crazy. This is so awesome. Like, to me, that's success. I get to experience success all the time. Every time someone patent is approved or filed, or they have a design and it becomes this real thing, and they're like, oh my God, this is now a real thing. And I get these stories of like, I was not confident before this, and now I have confidence. And now, that somehow is translated into love for some people. It's like, I found someone who loves me because of this confidence, because of this thing that I was able to build. Like, all of that feels like success to me, because a lot of these people have dreams and they don't know what to do with it. And those dreams are haunting them and taunting them every single day. And then they come and they work with me and then it goes away, the haunting and the taunting. So for me, I get to experience success through them all the time. But ultimately for me, success is to build this global company that allows for anyone with an idea to level the playing field so that anyone who has an idea can bring their product to life and legitimately change the world.
How about happiness? Is that bundled in there? Is it separate? What do you do with your happiness piece?
I think it's a personal decision. It's a choice. I truly believe that happiness is a choice. Like, I've always felt that happiness was a choice. So I've been fortunate to for that to be my outlook. And when things don't make me happy, I stop doing them. It's like, oh, this doesn't make me happy. And if it's something that I have to do for work, I find someone else to do it. I was like, I'm going to pay someone to do this thing that makes me unhappy. So for me, happiness is a choice, and I get to experience it all the time. Happiness for me on Monday is going to be going to Mexico for a week. That's going to be happiness, like sitting out on the rooftop bar. So, happiness, it's a choice, and I decide what that looks like every day. And as long as I'm staying true to that, then I will always have, happiness. I'm human, right? So we'll have sad moments, but I mean, that's how I see it in my life.
Parting words of wisdom. You can talk about perseverance, success, invention, whatever it is, whatever you want to share with the viewers today. You've been absolutely terrific, and I know you've got that wisdom right there.
Yeah. So probably the biggest thing I'll say is to not let something that happened yesterday stop you from doing the thing that you want to do tomorrow. That's the biggest thing. And we talked about that in the pre-chat, how a lot of people, especially women, will allow something that happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 2 days ago, 15 minutes ago, stop them from going out on a limb and doing that huge thing that's like they've been wanting to do and been dying to do forever, and to not let that stop you, because I could not have imagined the life for myself that I have today. I could not have imagined this life 4 years ago. And a lot of times it's like, if you can't see it, then you don't move forward with it. And I'm encouraging you, and I'm imploring you to not let that stop you, because what I'm able to create today and the type of company that I'm creating today, the tech company, $1 billion dream was not a dream I had 4 years ago, because it didn't seem plausible. Like, it wasn't something, I didn't have a plan for that. And because I did this small thing, which was build a glove, and then sell the glove and then consult and then find an inefficiency and add technology. Now I have this whole new possibility for my life and for the world in general that I could not have seen 4 years ago. And so, and I think that's the biggest thing, right? It's to step out and do the thing, the one thing, even if it's small, that can get you to a big thing that you can't even see and can't even fathom right now.
Sometimes it's invention, sometimes it's reinvention. And exactly. I love the story for so many reasons because, we're up front, we're talking about inventions, but the reality is you reinvented yourself. You reinvented your life, your success, your happiness. You're continually doing that and you're open to that and you're not letting things stop you. And I invite all of the viewers, and so do you, to not only engage in invention, but to engage in reinvention, which in itself is invention, because we're creations. And when you create, you're going to be your most happy and most successful. We are here to create, period.
Carolyn, let me tell you what just happened. This thing is over and they've stopped drilling.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I guess they were done listening. Funny. Okay. Lori G says, very encouraging. Thank you very much, Lori. Thank you all for watching on the replay. I thank you very much, Donteacia. This has been a grand slam interview. Really appreciate it. Please tell the folks again where they can find you and how you can help.
Absolutely. You guys can find me at DonteaciaSeymore.com, or you can find me at Donteacia Seymore Life Before the Tank on Facebook. Follow the page, like the page, join the Facebook group, which is Build, Fund, and Launch Your Awesome Invention. I am always in the Facebook group. I'm in the Facebook group a lot, but you can find the Facebook group link as well as the website on the Facebook page, Life Before the Tank.
Great. And you can find all of those links. I'll have them up within 24 hours or so on boomtank.com in the show notes for this episode. Donteacia, thank you very much again. I really appreciate it. Viewers, if you like this video, love this video, please share it out to people you know who can use it. And there are definitely people on the planet who need this kind of specialized help right now and other help too from Donteacia. Thank you once again. Total honor to have you today. You were absolutely terrific.
Thank you for having me.
Terrific interview. Thank you, Donteacia. How about all the expert product invention details she offered and what she does for inventors now? Pretty amazing. And her $2.1 million glove invention? Outstanding. On the mindset note, I fully agree when she said so much of what we believe about ourselves is a complete story someone made up about us and told us based on their false personal stories. Reject those stories. She calls them false narratives. I call them nonsense. And she does too, frankly. Get out there. Do what you were meant to do without apology. As always, I hope this one helps you. That is a wrap. Take great care. See you back here. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to the Boomtank Business Show. I so appreciate you listening, and you know I do. If you like the show, please leave a 5-star rating and some nice comments on iTunes, or subscribe on the free podcast listening app Stitcher for Android users or Google Play. And tell a friend. Join Boomtank's email list at boomtank.com and download your free instant audio training. It's 2 audio downloads. The first one, 10 top life and business lessons from my expert guests, and the second, a super success meditation you are going to love. Be sure to check out my coaching and consulting tab on boomtank.com and the speaking tab to book me as your next professional speaker or featured guest. Catch my live streams on boomtank.com or on Boomtank's YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/the Boomtank. Now get out there and create your success and happiness. See you right here next time.